Hey guys, we've got a special review today. I'm hanging out with the founder of e-joe bikes. This is Willie. This is the man right here. Then Sam's on the floor. He's getting this thing unwrapped. We got a couple of cool bikes. They got the Swan. Reviewed that a while back. Really popular. And then this is the Epik Carbon. And it's not actually carbon fiber, is it? No, we're gonna weigh this, okay? We're gonna test ride it. I'm gonna let you know what's going on. But first of all, why did you build? Tell us the story.
Well, there are two reasons. One is we were trying to make carbon as a continuation of Epik SC.
Oh, so it's like a copy.
It's like a copy, exactly. Second thing is, there's already a similar bike out there, so we thought it would be fun just to call it carbon. I'm serious.
For fun. This is why. So it's all about fun, right? With electric bikes. I think that's awesome, Willie. I'm very excited to see this thing. It looks pretty awesome. It's got like the mid-frame battery. You got those cast rims. Those are really popular. People like those.
Yeah.
They can like support a little bit more weight.
Exactly.
A bit more durable than spokes sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this. What do you think about it, Sam, so far? Give me the blow by blow.
A little bit thicker than what I normally see. What size is the battery in here, Willie?
10.5.
10.5 48 volt.
So yeah, it is bigger than the Epik SC.
And what size is the motor?
500.
500 watt motor.
You know, one thing I can say is I've ridden a lot of bikes that come, in that reps are coming and showing me bikes.
Yeah.
Willie always has bikes that have a nice linear power delivery, and that's something that goes a long way, especially with the baby boomers. They want to get on a bike that has that smooth power delivery, and e-joe is known for that.
Okay, well, I'm excited to check that out, and I like that you got the suspension fork because I'm all about comfort. It's a slightly different saddle. Who's making these saddles, Willie?
It's actually a local Tianjin Chinese company.
You say local. Where are we talking? China?
I'm talking about China.
You're from China, right?
No, I'm from Indonesia.
You're from Indonesia. You have your factory in China.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful.
The local.
We are citizens of the world here at the EBR. It's very exciting. And I like that you've got, looks like, is there like a plug on this thing? Like a USB port or something? How do I open that?
It's a charging port.
There's a charging port, power port. Okay, well, cool. We'll get into this more. Just thought it'd be fun to show what it looks like. This is what the shops get to do. They kind of put it together. Folding bikes are their favorites usually because it's like way easier to build, especially with no spokes. Folding this bike down, it introduced some interesting features, I guess, right? Do you want to talk about this, Sam?
Yeah, there's a couple things. First generation, and the manufacturer said they were going to address this, is when you go to fold it, your wiring is going underneath through this little porthole here in here, but it stretches the wires out. When you fold it back, before you get it fully closed, you want to make sure you push the wiring back in so you don't pinch a wire.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that, and if you fold it and pinch that wire, that could become an issue. The other thing is the battery has a rail on the bottom, so you got to line the rail up when you push the battery back in.
Yeah, kind of slide it on that track.
There's
That's
a
nice.
track there.
Maybe it won't rattle as much.
And I wasn't aware of that, so when I pulled it out, I never even noticed it. Put it back in, it wasn't right.
It wasn't on the
pointed
rail.
out to me, so I was like, oh, okay, and I had to take a screwdriver to pull the battery back out, and then we got it on the rail. Everything works perfect now.
So you got that nice foot. The bike's actually standing. It feels pretty stable in this position, and sometimes the folding bikes like fall over. This one's really compact. You did a great job folding it. I heard Sam say that the pedals were a little bit tight when he was doing it. It might just be that it's a brand new bike. Love the larger tires, and you might be able to pick it up and do the whole like walk around thing.
Oh, let's give it a
that?
shot. Yeah, let's see if that works.
Hey, Myron.
So I'm gonna bring this up, and we'll go up. So it's gonna go, no, I don't think so. It's wanting to kind of go over. See, the front wheel is hitting the ground before the back wheel.
Yeah.
So you could, if you steadied it with this hand, you could wheelbarrow it around.
Just have to be careful. The front wheel doesn't have any cassette or motor or anything, so it could go in both directions.
True. That's a really good point,
Nice.
Court. On most
Nice.
bikes, you cannot do that with. And when you set it down in the folded position, you can use your seat to wait for the train.
Right? I love that feature, man. Thank you. Thank you. So we're going to, refold this and then take it out and do some riding and stuff. But I thought it was always kind of interesting to look at, and just, you can take the battery off to fold it and to reduce the weight of the bike and stuff like that. So, okay, guys, we made it out and been riding around the neighborhood with this e-joe-epik Carbon. And Sam, which one are you on over here? The e-joe-epik?
This is last year's model. It's the Epik SE, and that's just a the next generation in the Epik lineup.
It's really interesting, you know. Yeah, they both have the internal batteries and stuff. That one's got spoked rims versus this one, it's got those like, you know, support arms, right? And that's really nice because you don't have to worry about them going out of true. They can support a little bit more weight. Willie didn't tell us like how much weight this bike is rated to, but in your experience as a shop owner, like spokes are the first thing that have trouble with a big rider,
yeah,
right?
For sure. You know, with a bike like that, I would say 250 pounds, and with that, you might be able to go up even higher.
So we don't want to like say anything official, but there's just going to be less that can go wrong when you've got those cast rims. 58.8 pounds, so it is a heavier folding bike, which is ironic considering like the Epik Carbon name. But as you heard Willie say, it's just sort of a play on like carbon copy because there are a lot of people who are using this frame. What I think really differentiates this for me is that e-joe has been around for a long time, and they do sell through shops as well as kind of direct online. And they've got a year-long comprehensive warranty. They do shipping included, and the price point of $13.99 is like really pretty good when you think about having a suspension fork. It's just a steel spring fork. It's nothing like too special, but it does have a compression clicker, right? It's not just on or off. And it's also got preload adjust over here, so you can preload that spring if you're a heavier rider. So you start to see like, okay, this thing really is built for, you know, kind of anyone, but a larger rider could get along just fine. We've got brake levers, both mechanical, with motor inhibitors. So that's going to cut power to that 500 watt nominal, 750 watt peak internally geared hub motor. Down here, 180 millimeter rotors, front and rear. So they didn't go with the smaller ones. That's going to give you a better mechanical advantage for stopping. And given that these are 20-inch wheels, you know, the smaller wheel, it gets a mechanical advantage too from like that hub motor in there. If this was a mid-drive, it wouldn't really matter. You could leverage the cassette and everything and get a mechanical advantage that way. But when you've got a hub motor, having a smaller wheel is advantageous. It's a pretty nice tires. We've got Kenda 20 by 2.25, so they're a little bit wider, which gives you some stability. It gives you traction, but also comfort. So when you look at that suspension fork, this really nice, kind of generic, but very comfortable, squishy saddle with rubber bumpers. You know, to me, those are the things that really matter. We've got ergonomic grips. No, they are not locking, but they do give you a more comfort feel, right? So anyway, back to the 20-inch wheel size. It's like a higher attack angle, so you just run into stuff. It doesn't really span it the way that a bigger wheel would. But again, mechanical advantage, fatter tires, there's more air volume. So it actually works out pretty well. I feel like they've done a pretty good job. They made some good choices here. They've, you can see this adjustable kickstand. It's kind of at the middle. Can get pedal lock. That's one of the things you'll hear me complain about a lot. No bottle cage bosses here. Rear rack bosses, potentially, on the sides. Nothing up here, so you'd have to get one of those seat clamps that has like a little piece of metal that's extended and you can bolt onto that. And then you could turn this into a little, you know, something that you could take around town and put some of your, maybe a water bottle or a bag with the charger. Standard 2-amp charger right here, 1.5 pounds. The battery on this bike, 48 volts. So you're getting a little bit like higher current, more efficiency to power that 500 watt motor. 48 volt by 10.5, so 504 watt hours. That's pretty good. You know, that's sizable for a folding electric bike, and that's part of what adds to the weight. It's about 7 pounds for that battery. I'm estimating that the motor's about 7 pounds. You can see it's a little bit more compact. It's contained in the rim. It's just hard for me to get too many specs from this. I don't even know, you know, the manufacturer of the motor, but Willie did say Samsung battery cells and kind of opened it up earlier, unfolded it, and we talked about that, how it's really nice that the cables are internally routed. It looks really clean. You just have to worry about pinching right there. Other things that stood out to me, standard length 170 millimeter crank arms, plastic chain guide. So you won't drop the chain as easily if you're going over bumpy terrain. And then back here, we've just got a 14 to 28 tooth 7-speed cassette. Very like entry level. Shimano tourney derailleur. Again, just kind of basic. It's like at the bottom of the lineup as far as Shimano goes, but it does have a barrel adjuster. You can get in here and, you know, it works okay. You can see that the little rubber cap on the axle where the power cable comes out and then meets the motor. You can see it's a little bit chewed up because the bike might have tipped to the side or when we were folding it earlier. It's not the biggest deal, but they don't have a derailleur guard here. That's an area where they could make this even more durable. And again, just looking at this bike, it's kind of naked. There's no fenders, there's no rack, there's no lights. the suspension fork, to me, that's the highlight. But otherwise, it's just it's a folding bike, and it's perfect for, you know, Southern California where it's sunny all the time. You don't have to worry about the rain or anything, and you just want something at a good price. I do like the cable wrap. I do like the twist shifter. That's maybe a little bit more intuitive for people who aren't used to trigger shifters. And then if you're folding this, the triggers could get bumped a little bit more easily. This feels a little bit more solid to me. Got a flick bell. There is no magnetic clasp or bungee clasp, so when you do fold this up, it can kind of bounce around. You might want to get yourself some aftermarket bungee cables just from Walmart or something, and then put a towel between the bike when you fold it. If you're someone who's using this in an RV type of situation, you're throwing it in the back of your boat, your plane, whatever. Being able to take that battery out reduces the weight. I love that the telescoping headset, that means that you're going to be able to like rise this up if you're a tall rider. I think this is a 400 millimeter long seat post, so you can really raise it up. Again, get it like a full body position for someone like Sam who's bigger. Do you remember the seat post diameter, Sam?
33.9, which is an oddball size.
It's an oddball size, which means you might need like a shim if you're going to do a suspension seat post. Yep. At the end of the day, though, I mean, given the plush tires and the seat and everything, I don't know if that's necessary. I'm going to go in and do the display panel, but first I just want to give Sam a chance to just say anything else. How do you, feeling about this bike?
Well, e-joe won your award, the prestigious top 10, or not the top 10, but
like
Folder of the Year.
Yeah,
Editor's
like
Choice.
Yeah.
And when a manufacturer gets that type of accolade from EBR, it can kind of make that company. And like 4 or 5 years ago, when you guys did that on the, I think it was the second generation Epik SE, man, I'd have people come into my shop. They didn't even look at the competition. They were sold on that bike just based on your review. So that's how important your reviews are. Talking about this bike for a second, what I remember on folding bikes 7 to 8 years ago was they would take regular folding bikes that people were using to commute maybe a mile or two to get to the train station.
Yeah.
So most all the bikes were coming with like 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches. Then they went to the big fat tire, and I remember for me it was SSR Motorsports that first came out with that fat tire bike.
That's right. Was that
and
the
Willie
Sand
came
Viper?
into my shop. Yeah, it was the Sand Viper, or it was the Trail Viper, maybe.
Trail something.
One of the, yeah. Anyway, Willie was in my store when I first got one of those first prototypes, and he was like, "Who's gonna buy that bike?" Well, look at how many people have bought the Mini Rad and all the other
Saunders had one.
There's tons of them out there. The great thing about this is I think this tire is the perfect go-between tire between the fat tire and the skinny commuter tire for RVers or people that are camping and getting in a little bit of a dirt or gravel situation. This is going to give you more confidence when you're riding the bike, and that's a really important point I want to make.
But without the weight and the drag and just the space. Like when we folded this up in your shop, this was pretty slim.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing for RVers. They want to be able to fit their bike. I had a guy come in the other day and he wanted 2 bikes, folding bikes that would fit in the back of his Mini Cooper. He ended up getting 2 of the Quali Sports Nemos that would fit in there.
That's cute.
So he pulled that behind his 40-foot motorhome. But it's all about that space and what will fit. And sometimes people have to go down and try the bikes out and see what's going to work within the space that they have to work with.
I wonder, so I like this. There are some complaints, like this is a 48-tooth chainring versus there was 52 on the other one. And this is a zippy motor. I mean, even in the lowest level of assist, it's like, that might be refined a little bit. This is like the first one. He brought it to Sam's shop because Sam's just up the road. So there might be some fine tuning that can happen throughout the year. Bigger folding joint. So years ago, I was in Mexico with my girlfriend, and we like brought some electric bikes, rode them on the beach, and they were fat electric bikes, and it had a big frame. Like I've actually seen this frame before on the Max foot, but it used wider dropouts and stuff, and it had like fat tires. So I agree with Sam. I like how these are nimble and lighter because that's my style of riding. Nothing wrong with the fat tires. This is a pretty good setup. The thing is, you've still got the fat frame. So when I've been pedaling along, even just stepping over it, this is, it's kind of a mid-step frame, and you can bonk your knee on that when you're pedaling, getting on and off the bike. You want to be careful, especially if you're a lady. My girlfriend, she did like kind of clunk her thigh, and she had a big bruise. So, this folding joint, while sturdy, back to the big guy thing, right? You got the strength, but it's a little bit wide.
Yeah, let's talk about a couple other things. I was talking to Willie today, and I went out and test rode it, and I was like, so does the throttle work when it's in 0 pedal assist?
It does.
It does.
Yes.
And there are a lot of people that don't know these little, idiosyncrasies of a bike, and they buy it online and they get it, and they're like, well, that sucks. My throttle doesn't work unless I'm on level 1 pedal assist.
Hence the review.
Yeah.
Right? That's why we're...
So, Willie listens to that feedback from not just the dealers, but also the consumer, and he does have a dealer network of over 50 dealers nationwide. And I was told today by him that probably next year they're going to be selling direct as well.
Oh, yeah.
So you got a dealer network and you can buy it direct.
Yeah. And then the free shipping, the year-long warranty, the Samsung sells. I like Willie. He's a nice guy. And you saw him on the couch. He's just kind of, he's honest about it. He's like, yeah, it's a carbon copy. I was actually really stoked to see a carbon fiber bike, but for a folding bike where it could get scratched and kind of cracked over time, this makes a lot of sense. Temperature-wise, aluminum's going to hold up a little bit better. I love that display. Before we get to that, I think he's probably still going to carry the Epik SE and these. I mean, it's a completely different bike. It's got lights, it's got fenders, a rack. I like these swept back handlebars. So to me, I mean, this one doesn't have lockout, compression adjust, or preload. It's just like a very generic, but it's a beautiful color. And so for me, it's almost like a kind of a his and hers setup.
It could be. And originally this bike did come with 1.75 tires, and we started putting the 2-inch wide tires on it, and then he started copying us on that.
Oh.
So that's like a little upgrade that we can do for the bike. Let's talk about personal choices too. For myself personally, I love this grip shifter. But for you've always mentioned that you like
the triggers. Yeah.
So again, it's personal preference. What do you like? For me, I like the grip shifter.
That's not bad. Yeah, and that's a great point, Sam. And I like that they included a bell, because some of the other brake levers I've seen have an integrated bell. This bike kind of, it checks the boxes. The goal here was just to go over this with you guys and, kind of do the review. Can you toss this in my backpack real quick, bud?
Absolutely.
So I'm going to go through the display. I really like the display on this bike. It's pretty easy to reach. It's simple enough. It's close enough that it's also easy to read, and it's not taking up so much space. You got the, you see the trigger throttle over here on the left. A lot of times these companies can't put it on the right because they need to have room for the brake and a larger housing for trigger shifters or the twist shifter. So that's why it's on the left. It's not going to be as familiar for people who ride jet skis and motorcycles and stuff. It's usually on the right. You could move it over there, but then you'd be reaching all this way, like way over here. So just in case you were wondering. So I'm going to press the M button here for a second. It's the KD58C display. 5 bars on that battery infographic. Each one represents 20% step, so it's not as precise as I'd like, but that's fairly common in the e-bike space. Starts in assist level 1. Your throttle and pedal assist are hot, and I do like that he's using a sealed 12-magnet cadence sensor down there. That's nicer than the big rings with the exposed magnets. It's a little bit more clean, probably a little bit tougher. Current speed in miles per hour. If we press M, it says trip, odometer, ride time, average speed, max speed, and then it's back around. And the cool thing is if you go a couple steps forward and you just wait for a second, it actually goes back to current speed, which is cool. You're not going to get stuck on, there, just did it. You're not going to get stuck on one thing. I think if we hold the minus button here for a second, we get walk mode, as you would expect. The plus button does backlighting on the display, which actually looks really nice when we were in the shop. And then if you hold plus and minus, we get all these different menus here. So it's like clear trip, set unit, whoops, I went down, set unit, wheel diameter. I think this might be top speed, the LS, voltage. And then if we hold plus and minus again, there's an even deeper menu. Look at this, power set, current set, assist number. So you could change it from, okay, I'm not gonna bother with this. I'm just gonna leave that. Okay, takes us back.
Can I jump in here a minute, Corey?
Speed sensor, slow start. Yeah, backlight settings. Hold on, password set. I just wanted to get through it. Yeah, you can even put a password.
So the point I want to make here is I have a lot of customers that will figure out how to get into the parameter settings. They start messing around with it. They don't know what they're doing, and they mess up their bike, and then they come back in the shop and go, my bike only goes 10 miles an hour. What happened? And then I got to go over the phone, and we got to like walk them through step by step, setting back the parameters to the manufacturer settings. The point I'm trying to make is you can probably Google this, and there may be a sheet somewhere online.
And in the forums, right?
Yes,
like I put that stuff.
If you do have that, then refer to that. But a lot of people don't figure that out, and they start messing with it. So if you do mess with it, just be cautious and know that you can kind of mess up the settings. And
yeah, be careful.
Be careful, yeah.
But yeah, that I changed it to the number of assist settings. It said 12, and yet it's still just stuck at 5. So for me, it's fun to dink around with this stuff, and I can just pass it back to Sam, and he can figure it out. But I don't want to make it a headache for him. Please chime in the comments. Head out to the forum, the EVR forums for help. And I do have a section for e-joe, so you can see what past customers have to say about quality, support, all that stuff. This is a value bike, right? He's selling it at a pretty good price. He's upgraded a few pieces, but there are parts of it that are just cheaper, like these pedals. They took a little bit more hand strength to operate because it's kind of new. They're not super huge. They're nothing really special, but they get the job done. And this locking pin here, you know, you slide that out before you can unlock. So it's designed to be durable, and I think it checks all the boxes. So I want to get on this thing and go for a ride. What do you say?
Do it.
We good? Oh, also, see, I extended the kickstand, and now whenever you kick it up, it kind of bumps into that larger disc brake rotor. So that's the consequence of having larger rotors and things like that. Yeah, I love that you get full power with that trigger throttle at all levels of assist, but it does mean that anytime the bike is on, if you accidentally push that throttle, the bike can take off on you. And that's especially troublesome if you're folding the bike. You're like, what a great picnic, darling. And you come back to the campsite and you're like, well, let's fold the bikes. And you leave it on, and then it, like, you know, spins and gives you like a raspberry on your leg, or
I'll give
twist
you
your finger.
A more common thing is,
Yeah.
you're going to the bathroom, or you're stopping, you're next to the bike, and you might bump the throttle while not on the bike, and that's when the bike will pull away from you.
Okay.
So again, like you always says, those brake inhibitors will kill the throttle.
Yeah.
And my advice is to always shut the bike off when getting on or off the bike.
Yeah.
So that it's not live, because you have a live throttle, and that
Whoa,
is,
boy.
yeah, that could be a little dangerous.
Precarious.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So you got two scenarios, guys. I'm gonna hop on this and zoom down the road here, and I'll be right back, Sam.
All right, we'll see you in a little bit.
Okay, so I'm gonna start out with pedal assist. I like to do it in the highest level. So there's a little bit of delay, and here I'm trying to do the no hands thing. It's, you know, anytime you're on those smaller wheels, it's not quite as stable, but this is pretty good with those bigger tires. And yeah, I mean, it works well enough. Maybe it's a pedal stroke or two before it starts, and then just a moment until that motor stops too. So just keep that in mind. It's always good to have a hand kind of at the ready on those brake levers. Now we got the trigger throttle. Very nice, very zippy. There aren't a lot of hills around here, guys, so I can't really demonstrate the climbing power, but it does get that mechanical advantage. And, you know, here's the grass, so kind of zip through. It's pulling me all right. You know, it's getting the job done. And this is the crotch shot here. See how my legs do get kind of close to that folding joint. You just don't want to nick your knee. It can really kind of hurt, you know? There we go, suspension. Hey, bud. Whoa.
Make videos?
Yeah, making YouTube videos. I wonder where Sam went. Oh, there he is. Hey, buddy. You mind trading me up?
Yeah, for sure.
I found this little kid, and he was like, "You're making videos?"
Yeah, all right, on.
It's like, you're gonna be famous, dude.
Ramp up a little bit of power for you.
Thank you. See, it's a different display right here with the butterfly. Is that what you...
No, that actually's been improved. The original one I called the leafy throttle.
Oh, the leafy
it felt
throttle.
like a leaf when you were pushing it.
Oh man, this saddle, it's got kind of this like curve in the back, but it's not as soft as that one.
Yeah. No, definitely this is a better saddle in my opinion.
So let's just go. I just want to get the third person perspective.
Yeah, with a big guy on here, right?
Yeah. Looking pretty good, buddy.
Look how the car's ahead of you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So,
It's gonna pass
high
me up.
gear right there.
Is that the high gear?
Yeah, you got one more gear to go.
And he could raise that saddle and get the full leg extension, or close to it if he wanted, which is nice. I want to be on your right side now, Sam.
See how my pace is pretty quick on it, and I'm trying to keep pace and the bike accelerates.
Yeah, he's saying with that 48 tooth chainring versus a 52, at the highest speed he can't keep pace quite as easily. Guys, I think that is it. That's the e-joe-epik Carbon, $13.99. Thanks for your help, Sam. It's a lot of fun.
You got it.
For the full written review, all the specs and stuff on that bike and most of the other e-joe bikes, you can head out to ElectricBikeReview.com. There's a really cool comparison tool back there that lets you look at the specs and stuff. And then, of course, I've mentioned the forums. Do our best to just be like authentic and give you the information. You make good decisions. Love you guys. Ride safe. We'll see you next time.